Shalom, shalom, which means peace in the Hebrew. This is the brother Itazayah, Razamath, over here with our next exclusive documentary video with very historical findings and scriptural proof and backing. If you did not see the video before this, the prelude to this video, which was the thing that was going on, the madness, the month of madness, of ice madness, that talks about the odd snowstorm that was going around, and also about what was going on in Greenland, why the president wanted Greenland. Then talked about the things that was going on with ice, like the ice agents. Then it started talking about the snow again, but was going on. We was talking about the snow in some wizardry type fashion because something was deep with the snow. Something odd was happening with the snow. So the snow had something like a different force to it. When we had the videos of people looking at it under a microscope, they saw that it contained certain poisonous metals and things like that. And we know that science and witchcraft, there's a little thin line between them. And we know that there's certain scientists that operate with witchcraft. And in this documentary, exclusive scriptorial documentary, we're going to be going over that. The part where witchcraft and wizardry and science collide. That science and witchcraft, when it collides, when it comes together. When you see like scientists and warlocks or wizards working together. So we're going to go into think a lot of things like that. But let me just read this, the reason why we're going to go over that. This is Isaiah 46:9. It says, "Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else." So it says, remember the former things of old. So all the old things that's going on. So that's why we have to go back in history to understand the end. We have to understand the beginning of a thing. So in order to understand the house, or a structure or a building, we have to understand the foundation, because without the foundation, the whole house falls. So, and also let's go to 2 Timothy 2:15. It says, "Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." So it says that we have to be over here studying, understanding the scriptures, so you could be approved by the Most High. So you don't have to be ashamed. So when you see all these prophecies being fulfilled, you won't be ashamed, okay, what's really going on? Like if you start seeing these portals opening and you start seeing these demons flying through these portals and you get scared and start running, you don't know what's going on. And we understand where these portals are coming from, where these demons are going to be coming from. We understand where the scriptures talk about people looking up and their hearts failing. So people running around, they're getting scared and their hearts failing. Just like we went over in the first video. So, and this is John 21:15. And it says, "So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, loveth thou me more than these? And he said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my lambs." So it says right here, feed his lambs. So that's what we're doing now. We're feeding the lambs. To feed the lambs with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. The ones who don't know any better. And also to enlighten the ones that do. And a scriptorial history documentary to understand what's happening now. Jeremiah 6:16. "Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein." So we have to look back to the old paths, the good way, so we can walk therein. "And ye shall find rest for your souls." Yes. So we can find rest for our souls, understand our history. Many people don't understand their history. What's a tree without roots? What's a building without foundation? And what's a person without history? It's like he has a void. So we have to fill in that void and understand that. I'm going to continue reading 6:16. "But they said, we will not walk." So in Matthew 26:41, it says, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. So like it says, watch. You have to watch what's going on. Watch these prophecies and even go back in the future so you can understand what's actually really happening. So like in the last video, we was going to go over something known as the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory in Antarctica. Yes, it's an observatory in Antarctica that deals with like weather modification and other things where scientists are mixing witchcraft and science together. But let's see how they got there. What influenced them? What inspired them? Let's go back into history before we go and tell what's going on at this place, the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory. Let's see the steps that got there. Let's see what really occurred. And we're going to show, with help of the scriptures, like what's really going on in the minds of these scientists, these wizard scientists that's part of the occult. So we're going to take it all way back to see who are these, one of the first ones that was started this, like really in the beginning, but not the beginning. We're going to start around, I'll say, the age of enlightenment, known as the Renaissance. We're going to start there and see about these scientists that want to mingle this whole science and witchcraft together in the age of enlightenment, known as the Renaissance. All right, the year is 1473, and the place is Florence, Italy, during the age of the Renaissance, also known as the age of rebirth, also known as the age where science, theologians, and philosophers collide. So, what was going on in Florence? In Florence, it was a bustling street. You had people discussing different things. It was very lively. And then people saw the Medici family. They walked towards the Medici family to shake their hands because they were that important in Florence, Italy. Crowds gathered. But you want me to tell you who else was around that time? A person that goes by the name of Marsilio Ficino. That's Marsilio Ficino. Let's see, what did this guy do? So let's go into his biography, of Ficino's biography. All right, it says Marsilio Ficino was born October 14th, 1433 in the Republic of Florence, Italy. All right, so, and I'm getting this information from Britannica.com. So that's if you want to know where that's from. All right. And it says that Marsilio Ficino, he was an Italian philosopher, theologian, and linguist whose translation and commentaries of the writings of Plato and other classic Greek authors generated the Florentine Paulinist Renaissance, meaning he was the main one who was influencing them. He was the son of a physician and was acquainted with many different learnings. He was trained in Latin. He studied philosophy and medicine. So he was very, very important. So he became also the head of the Platonic Academy at Florence, situated at the Medici Villa at Carigi, outside of Florence. So he was attributing a lot of things to the Renaissance, doing a lot of things during the Renaissance. But now this is the stuff that gets important now. It's what he's about to do right now. It says, Ficino was ordained a priest in 1473. Wow. And later was named a church official of Florence Cathedral. So, what was going on? So, if you want to know how they ordain people as priests, people have to know them. So it's like he had to walk through this corridor, walk down the aisles. He's seeing a whole lot of people all around him. And then like our archbishop has to see him, put him down in a chair, and then when he proclaims a priest, he gets the robes. But after he gets proclaimed a priest, people are so happy. Even the Medici family is even happy. So, but some other things are happening during his priesthood, because remember, he's a very, very important person at this time. So, let's see. First, I want to read this. This is Job 14:4. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. You can't bring a clean thing out of an unclean thing. So, he wants to do something unclean and still be called a minister of God, even though the Catholic Church do a lot of unclean things. So, according to the Library of Acropolis, it says that he was deeply involved in the occult. Oh, whoa. Okay, let's see. What was he doing? Particularly through his development and practice of natural magic, astrology, talismanic practices, and Harmonic influence ideas. So in other words, he was doing occult things while he was a Catholic priest. And when it says talismanic practices, he practiced mainly like on talismans. He was doing these talismans, lighting up these talismans in front of people. Where they get the Philosopher's Stone example and just talisman. And it seems like his other Catholic priests was around there. They seen that, but they looked at it was normal. So let me just see. It says the work outlines a system of natural magic. It's different from demonic or ceremonial magic. So in other words, they didn't look at it as evil back then because it was different from demonic or ceremonial magic. It uses talismans, images, herbs, gems, colors, sounds, and music to capture different things and improve physical and mental health. So he was doing something called white magic, and he was mixing science together. So this is one of the beginnings in a Renaissance that was spearheading a lot of this occult things that he was doing. So when you start thinking about all these things about what he's doing, now he even got accused of heresy a couple of times. It says that Ficino faced suspicions of practicing illicit magic, especially after publishing the Vita. But he defended himself, insisting his methods were purely natural. So he was able to defend himself. So this is the cause of what people looked at as the occult or magicians doing clean things. So in other words, they're now mixing the clean and the unclean because now he has an excuse. So when other philosophers or people are running to him and they're accusing him and they're saying, yo, you're doing all these things, you're practicing magic, and he's like trying to show that he's doing like this white magic. So they're bearing with it. They're accepting it. So these are one of the things that start spearheading this whole occult idea of wizardry, mixing the clean and the unclean, the light and the darkness, the night and day. These things aren't supposed to mix. They're separate for a reason. But the Renaissance was one of the things that spearheaded it. So let us go to literally a scientist now. We had a little guy who was a Catholic priest who was into science a little and into the occult, into witchcraft. That's what we were speaking about, the guy Ficino. But now let's go to this other guy who is known to be a scientist. Anybody heard of Sir Isaac Newton? Yes, certain people probably heard about that. Let's go there. All right. We're about to go into Isaac Newton. Wow. So, yep, that's right, Isaac Newton. So, and we already understand. Let's see a little things that we know about him. We know that Isaac Newton, he was a good mathematician. He was a physicist. And also, he done some other things. He also was good in calculus. He had assistants with him. He used to write a lot of mathematical equations on boards and things like that. And he had different assistants. But there was other things. He had like another life that many people did not know about Newton. So now to understand what Isaac Newton was into, we already understand his background. But like it says, we have to prove all things. That's one thing that we have to do. We have to make sure we prove all things, because we're over here showing science and the occult. And anytime we think about science or scientists doing anything occult or wizardry, most likely people don't think about Isaac Newton. Now, this right here, what I'm about to discuss with you, comes from Sam Keen. He's over Humanities. He's a writer of Humanities from February 2011. And in the magazine of Humanities, he writes Newton, the Last Musician. And it's from the National Endowment for Humanities. All right, so you can understand my sources that I'm quoting to see what is this Isaac Newton or Sir Isaac Newton. Now, let's see what's going on. Now, they found out that there's a full work of Newton's private handwritten papers and lab book, and some almost 300 years old that was never published, meaning they got their hands, a team of investigators or researchers got their hands on Newton's work that did not get published, because many people know what Isaac Newton liked to publish. His mathematic equations, things like that, things on calculus. But there's other things he didn't publish. See, I wonder why. Let's go into it. What was going on? Now, what was Newton really doing? Now, in a younger life, what Newton used to like doing, he used to disappear into books like The Mysteries of Nature and Art. So he would sit there and just read this book, Mysteries of Nature and Art. And he's fascinated by an odd mix of occult philosophy and practical engineering. So he's already into that. So he's already into the occult philosophy already as a mathematician. So as a young learning mathematician, he's already getting into the occult. So he started building certain things. One of the things that he built was a water clock. So if you can understand what that is, it's, just like you have clocks made of batteries, he made this one running on water. And even his assistants who was around him, because you had a lot of people around him, like his assistants / friends, sitting there like looking like, wow, look at this little watery instrument. But hey, that's Newton. Newton was very smart. That's one thing. He was a very, very intelligent person. Even him on the board writing equations down in front of all his assistants. They was like shocked. They said, wow, this guy is smart. He even also built something else. Now, according to the article, it says he built a lantern, like a lantern with light, and he tied it to a kite and flew it around his home. And everybody was looking. So imagine this kite just flying around and all his assistants is looking up and things like that. I mean, to tell you the truth, today that probably seems a little simple, but back then, that's kind of like strange to say, okay, he's making this kite and putting a lantern down. So that's already showing you how his mind is working. He's thinking outside the box. He's thinking as an engineer. So it says, Newton further developed his interests in both practical and theoretical sides of the field, devouring books by the alchemist Robert Boyle. So he was into what Robert Boyle's book was. And Robert Boyle, he was an alchemist. According to the article, it says Newton describes such work as chemistry. So in other words, most of the time, if you hear chemistry, Newton is doing chemistry, it's really he's doing alchemy. Yes, alchemy. And alchemy is still considered part of the occult. It's still part of wizardry. Like you do have chemistry that's very related to it, because according to the word chemistry, I believe the word alchemy has that word chemistry, alchemy, meaning there's something with it. There's a difference between that, with alchemy and chemistry. So let me continue reading on to the article. Now, it says, while on leave from Cambridge during an outbreak of plague, Newton began separating sunlight into colors with a prism, among other experiments. So he was into this whole experimentation with colors. So he's showing this to all of his assistants, showing like the prism that he's doing. He's showing it up to the sun, and different colors are coming. And his assistants, they're looking in awe. Now, according to the article, it says to counter this objection, Newton adopted bold tactics. He showed he could tease white light apart into red, yellows, and green and blue and mold them back together. So he's doing this little so-called illusion technique that he's got from Boyle. So to show you, this is where some of the things where he's dipping and diving into this little wizardry. Indeed, he dedicated 6 weeks to chemistry every fall and every spring for decades. The seasons where his unheated lab was bearable, he often works through unbearable months. So he was just into chemistry every fall, every spring for decades, 6 weeks, over and over. But you don't think of him as a chemist. Remember, when it says chemistry, it's talking about alchemy. Now, moreover, these millions of words don't capture the countless hours Newton spent running chemistry experiments on intriguing substances like antimony and mercury. So, as you know, this proves that he was actually doing chemistry because he was doing experiments in mercury. And most chemists, people who are into alchemy, which they call a type of chemistry, is known to turn mercury or lead into gold, meaning they want to try and do it. So they want to try to change the molecules around of a substance. So I'm going to still continue reading of the article. It says, still, the illicit nature of chemistry doesn't completely explain why Newton concealed his research. So he was concealing some of the things, meaning we only know a few of what Newton was doing. I'm going to continue reading. Almost everyone who knew him found him disarmingly weird. He had a mean temper, meaning he was getting mad fast. And he suffered a raving breakdown where he wished death on one of his assistants or one of his friends or assistants. So imagine him just turning to his friends or assistants and just wilding out on them. And it was getting creepy where he was even attacking family members. It says this eccentricity or this craziness spilled over into his science. Curiously, what happened was he used to stare in the sun for a long time where he had to lay in a dark room for several days. So, as you know, this is going into some demonic possession now, because now it says that not everybody don't know what he was doing, and they're just finding out more and more information about Isaac Newton, and they would never think that he would be into wizardry or the occult or demonically possessed. But if you're going around attacking your family members, attacking your friends, wishing death, looking into the sun, going into a dark room, and acting eccentric, yes, you're demonically possessed. But people did not think that this would be happening to a mathematician of Isaac Newton, who was an alchemist. Yes, Isaac Newton was an alchemist. Hey, brothers and sisters out there. This is the brother Itazayah Razamath, and what you're about to witness is a Zoom meeting. In the Zoom meeting, it's going to be like a classroom setting where I'll be going over scriptures about wizardry and the Bible and the occult and how what happens when people delve into it. What's the judgment? How do they relate? I'll be going over certain scriptures. I'll even be showing examples, pictorial examples, and just stay tuned. Just enjoy what you're seeing, and make sure you have a pen and a paper, and make sure you write notes and write these scriptures down. The scriptures shall be right on the side. I shall make sure I show the dynamics of each scripture that I go through, and I will be also showing pictorial little witnesses because it says our people need a sign. My reader will be the brother Isaiah, a very smart and intelligent brother. He will be my reader, and I will be expounding on each scripture. So this is going to be a Zoom meeting. So it's like a classroom style setting. All right. Peace and enjoy. So now about science and the occult. As you understand that science is really supposed to be just knowledge, meaning like earth knowledge. But then you have the occult teachings, which is things that deals with wizardry. Just like you have certain people into the occult like Marsilio Ficino, the one from the Renaissance who dealt in white magic, and he was a Catholic priest. Yeah, he was a Catholic priest that dealt in white magic. Then you got your Issac Newton. He was a mathematician who dealt in alchemy. And there's a lot of other ones too. So, Isaiah, can you read 1 Timothy 6:20 so we can understand what type of knowledge is this and why they going this route? Why they want to mix the occult and science together? 1 Timothy 6:20. Read it when you get it.
1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings, and oppositions of science, falsely so called.
So it says oppositions of science, falsely so called. So if you ever look up that Greek word, the Greek word there is gnosis. That means just knowledge. It's supposed to be like certain knowledge, sometimes hidden knowledge. There's even was a Christian group known as the Gnostics. And we can go for a whole topic about them. They were known as a heretic group. Allegedly, they got a hold of Paul's writings and they went crazy with them, not understanding what was going on. You had a famous one, I believe, named Marcion, and you had other ones that added astrology. Then also you had the sect of the Nicolaitans, which came back later as, we know who, the Muslims, they follow the same route. But he says, stay away from science falsely so-called. And it says falsely because that's known as false knowledge. It's not real knowledge. Let's go to Colossians 2:8. So now we understand the main science that's in this world is supposed to be for healing purposes, like biology, things like that. That's okay science. But then when you get to start certain things like quantum physics, now you're going a little overboard. Even certain chemistries that can mix things that does not need to be mixed. When they go far beyond the periodical table of elements and start messing with certain elements they don't need to mess with, like uranium, then that can cause certain problems. See, it's good to know about these elements, but then go after them, like even something small like lead and mercury. Those are small, but they're poisonous. Yes. Colossians 2:8.
Colossians 2 verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men.
So it says traditions of men. What's traditions of men? The science. Things that's science. You know, you have to trust the science. That's what they say. Follow after the science. Follow after They used to talk about evolution. They don't talk about it now. Everything is geared towards space. But they say trust the science. And also, they also trust superstition. Superstition goes into the occult. You see things like ghosts, skinwalkers, aliens. Those things exist. They just go by other names. Demons and devils. Yeah, different types. But people just call them ghosts, skinwalkers, aliens, cryptoids. Those weird names, but they're really just demons. Keep going.
After the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ.
And not after Christ. So the rudiments of the world is the minor things of the world, the worldly stuff, like the occult. They'll rather do those things and not after Christ. That's why in certain places, in certain jobs, that people would have, they would talk all about orientations and sexual orientations, or what's going on with politics, or certain things with witchcraft and superstition, but they don't want you to bring up religion there, or anything that deals with mainly biblical religion. Why? Because it cuts all that. Let's go to Jeremiah 4:22. See, all throughout the scriptures, the Most High, he was protecting his people and trying to get them to worship him, because they was worshiping these false gods. And when he worshiped these false gods, they start bothering their mental stability and mental health. And then they end up becoming blind towards that. All right, Jeremiah 4:22.
Jeremiah 4, verse 22. For my people is foolish.
Says my people is foolish. And we know who the Lord's people are today. The children of Israel, and the real children of Israel are actually the Black Americans in America. Keep going.
They have not known me.
They have not known him. Why? Because if you look at the minorities in America, they'd rather just do what the politics say. They just rather do what their governors say. They'll just go to church one day in a week, just come back home, and just act like everything is just all right. Keep going.
They are sottish children.
They are sottish children. The word sottish actually means stupid. So, but we don't like to call people like stupid around here, so we'll just say dumb. Oh, ignorant, because the root word ignorant means ignore. Because when you're ignoring the scriptures, you take your wisdom away from you, and then blindness starts to come in. Keep going.
And they have none understanding.
Yeah, they don't have no understanding. When you see the Afro-Americans that's on the street, many of them can't speak English. They love to cuss. They're into sports. They're into all type of musical instruments, and like they just want to fuss about things and just hit on the females, and it seems like they're wise to do evil. But keep going.
They are wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge.
They have no knowledge. So they rather follow what they see on TV, because to them, that's supposed to be the knowledge. But now, let's go back to understand what this occult, the science and the occult thing that we're talking about. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18:10 to see if the Most High, he allows this or condemns it. Because if you go places like to New York City, California, you have spiritualists, you have gypsies, you have psychics, and people look at that as the norm. They put it in like TV shows, they put it in cartoons. Disney, the magical world of Disney, where they have this giant rat masquerading as a mouse. You have like the dog, Pluto the dog, and then you have the I believe Goofy is supposed to be a werewolf or something like that. And then you have the possessed duck Donald, and it's crazy. It's just this Disney World. It's supposed to be a magical world. Deuteronomy 18:10.
Deuteronomy 18, verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire.
So his son and his daughter passed through the fire. Because why the ancient Canaanites and the ancient people of the land, they used to torture their children and kill them to get connected to their gods. Because the Canaanites were cursed. They were a cursed people. Keep going.
Or that useth divination.
All right, divinations is sorcery. So they're doing sorcery magic using idolatry. Keep going.
Or an observer of times.
So an observer of time is an astrologer. So like the people be having their little zodiac signs and zodiac symbols and high into astrology. So you have these people that stargazers. They gaze into the stars and they want to tell the future about it. So what they do, they try to make money off of that, saying, the stars is telling me this and that. And they know that there's something hidden amongst the veil. That veil, the black veil where the stars are. So they actually want to reach that area. Keep going.
Or an enchanter.
An enchanter. Now, to enchant an object is to make it magical. You'll see a lot about that, like with Nazi Germany and the Fool Society. They were into heavily with that stuff, to make a lot of things powerful. Because the Nazis were into they were occultists. They was heavily into the occult. Keep going.
Or a witch.
Or a witch, just told you. Those that into witchcraft. Keep going.
Or a charmer.
So a charmer. A charmer is people that can actually hypnotize animals. Put animals under hypnosis. One of the most popular charmers would be snake charmers, where they're able to put snakes under hypnosis and make them do their bidding. Keep going.
Or a consulter with familiar spirits.
Now, the consulter with familiar spirits, this one is deep because this one is the power to access the invisible world of spirits into the realm we're not supposed to be. We're about to come back to that. Keep going.
Or a wizard.
A wizard is one that seeks forbidden knowledge. Like even in certain movies like Lord of the Rings, you see like Gandalf, right? He's this wizard, but they're doing forbidden acts that other people just can't do. Certain magical acts. That's what wizardry is into. Keep going.
Or a necromancer.
Or a necromancer. What's a necromancer? Those that's able to contact the dead and possess the dead in a way. It's very similar to a familiar spirit. The difference between a familiar spirit and a necromancer is usually around like tomb areas, and they deal with the dead, like literally dead bodies, like zombies and things like that. That's what they do. Now, familiar spirits are known as breaking the walls, like making portals from the physical world into the spiritual world without the Lord's permission. Now, you have the physical world. Imagine like these two circles or these two spears, right? One spear says physical, one says spiritual. The only way you could pass through it is by death. Something has to die. That's why there was always sacrifices. Every nation even knew you sacrifice something to get to the spiritual world. So now, a person with a familiar spirit, they will do a ritual where they don't need no sacrifice like that, but they will get an object, a forbidden object, and allow this forbidden object to be possessed. And it will have a spirit on this object. And this type of object will allow it to open like this portal to the realm, because this object was possessed by something known as in Hebrew awaba. It says it uses that word, but it's considered a familiar spirit, and it's like this portal opener that they can actually use it. And the thing is, once they possess this object is attached to the person, and therefore the person has a familiar spirit. And we're going to go into that. Keep going.
For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord.
So all that does these wicked things are an abomination unto the Lord. Let's go to 1 Samuel 28:7. Like I want to use that familiar spirits. The reason why familiar spirits is so heavy, because they was doing things like that in like the Field Society, and other scientists, they were doing that. Other scientists were actually doing that, trying to get into the spiritual world so they can get certain knowledges there. And they will bring back certain knowledges, but when they open that portal into that spiritual world, other things was coming through. All right. 1 Samuel 28:7.
1 Samuel 28:7. Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit.
That has a familiar spirit, which is a abawa. It's a Hebrew word that means it's very close to the word father, but it represents familiar spirit, because it's supposed to be something that's attached to a person, just like a father is attached to the son. This thing has to be attached to the person. It's like this object, but the object is like possessed. Like it's really possessed. Now, the Bible doesn't go like deeply into what this object is, because there's certain things that the Bible keeps silent about because they don't want people to pursue it. Just like in Second Ezra's, when second Ezra, when Ezra was asking certain questions, Uriel was just saying, let me just don't deal with that right now, because that's way above your grade. So, but these certain objects that these witches get their hands on, they're able to break through that boundary. So read that again.
Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her.
So this was a witch right here, and she had a familiar spirit. Keep going.
And his servant said to him, Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor.
Mm-hmm.
And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, and he went,
mm-hmm.
and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night.
Yeah, they came by night. The reason why they came by night, because that's where a lot of evil happens around night, especially during the time of 3 a.m. That's known as the witching hour. 3 a.m. is always known as the witching hour, because that's the hour where, if you understand like the 2 circles, the spiritual world and the physical world, allegedly that's where they kind of get thin, where certain spiritual beings can like cross over. Not the good ones, the evil ones can cross over just for a little visit. That's why it's called the witching hour. And that's why certain people who are spiritual automatically wake up around 3 a.m. because their body automatically keeps them on alert, saying it's time to wake up just in case. It's like something where your body automatically just clicks on. It's called the witching hour. It's like you're going to sleep, and then right at 3 a.m. you automatically just wake up. That's your body just tuning in, saying, okay, it's just time for defending yourselves. Like it was already known in times past that hour was the time where people used to pray. Like a lot of monks used to pray at that time, because they knew that from that hour, from 3 a.m. to like around 4:30, that was an hour where certain things at the night walk. So it says that he came to him at night. 1 Samuel 28:8 again.
And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment,
mm-hmm.
and he went, and 2 men with him.
Yeah, so this Saul, he disguised himself. So this happened after Samuel died, and he needed to get into contact with Samuel. Keep going.
And they came to the woman by night,
mm-hmm.
and he said, I pray thee, divide unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up whom I shall name unto thee.
So in other words, she's about to use this possessed object to open a spiritual door to the world that's forbidden from the physical. Keep going.
And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land.
Yeah, because to open up a bunch of portals all around and let demons through, yeah, you're not supposed to do that. And we already know that a lot of these scientists are mixing wizardry in today's world, and they're opening portals, just like we showed you before, opening a portal in an old urban area, and people looking up and they're running and they're fleeing. They're seeing all these things. They even did like a little, allegedly they did like a little test with it like 2 years ago with the whole Miami thing. Those were known to be portals. You get certain information and intel. It says certain people open portals in the malls to see if it had to be in the air or on land. And then they just saw these little black things run around, and people were just running. That's what people were saying. And for some odd reason, they couldn't take pictures. Their phones were off. But hey, that's what happens when you have familiar spirits. And now these scientists are getting their hands on these familiar spirits. And now some problems are happening. Keep going.
Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die?
Mm-hmm.
And Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing.
All right, keep going.
Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel.
So he said, bring up Samuel. So this was Saul King Saul, and he was just trying to get to Samuel. You know that Samuel recently died, and he's in a spiritual realm. So he's trying to get to that spiritual realm without the Most High's permission. Keep going.
And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul.
Because that object that she was using, that was enchanted, that object that had that spirit on it, was this familiar spirit, gave her that knowledge and understood, yo, this guy is Saul. And she automatically knew it, because once she went to the spiritual world and she saw that spectra of Samuel, she already knew, oh, this guy right here is Saul. Keep going.
And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth.
So what that means, when she said she saw gods ascending out of the earth, when she looked into the spiritual world, she just saw the spirits of the people that's dying, going back to the Most High. It says that in Ecclesiastes. It says in Ecclesiastes, after the body dies, then the soul returns, like the spirit returns to the Most High that makes it. So you're not supposed to see spirits; they're invisible. And since she has a familiar spirit, she was opening up to the spiritual world, and she just see a lot of spirits just going up in the air, and she thinking that they are gods. So that's the thing. Keep going.
And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel. And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself.
So right here, automatically, so something happened where an old man, as the spirit of an old man, came through this portal, and she was able to see it. Well, number one, it says that she was able to see it because she has a familiar spirit. So Saul said, oh, what form is he? Because remember, she has a familiar spirit. So she described him, oh, it's Samuel. But as you know, what was really going on was she was just contacting other spirits, and it was really just Samuel's with the Most High. So right now she was contacting some unknown spirit who already, and these spirits that's already in the spiritual world, they know what's going on, and they can masquerade as anybody. But it tells you once a person dies, they're with the Most High, they're in silence. Especially if they're righteous and they're about to be put to rest, go through their sleep. But now, let's understand, how did these scientists, and how did the old world understand what's going on? How did they understand it? How did they understand all this knowledge? Like when they look through the spiritual world and they got all this magic and all these spells, where did they get it from? Let's go to Romans 1:18, because if you go back through history, when you keep going back in the past, you see older things, and for some odd reason, certain older things start getting a little high tech, and to the point where it's hard to rebuild it, like the massive ziggurats or the high pyramids that's in the Americas, or that's certain ones that's in Egypt and other things, or the underground cities under the water, and there's other things like that's very high technology that the ancients built. Why? Because they had certain knowledges, and it's going to tell you where all this forbidden knowledge came from. Why does all this forbidden knowledge, this forbidden sorcery, where did it come from? Romans 1:18.
Romans 1:18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. So these are the ones that hold the truth in unrighteousness, meaning they understand the truth and they hold it in unrighteousness. Just like these scientists. These scientists know that evolution is fake. They know it because there's so many things about it that just don't make sense. But they're still going to go along with it because they would rather believe in lies. Because if they say it's fake, then they're going to have to start believing in the Lord. And many of these scientists done some evil things where they just don't want to. Keep going. Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has showed it unto them.
So the Most High, he showed all this to them. So all these, this happened right after the flood, Noah's children. Noah was a preacher of righteousness. So if he was a preacher of righteousness, even before the flood, where he was preaching before the flood, common sense would tell you that, of course, he was preaching to his own children after the flood. And he was telling them about the Most High and showed them visions also. Keep going.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
So these nations are without, all these races and nations, these different race of nations are without excuse that want to worship false gods. They allow themselves to be deceived by them because they already knew who the true God was, because Noah was the preacher of righteousness and it was told unto them, and they was able to see through that spiritual world. But the thing is, when they was able to see through the spiritual realm, they also saw evil things too. They saw the good things and the evil things. That's why if you look at Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Indian, to tell you the truth, all different nations and cultures, it's always when they draw like their gods or anything related to their gods, certain gods are mixed with animals, if you ever realize that. Like the Egyptian gods, many of them mixed with animals. Assyrian gods mixed with animals. Persian gods mixed with animals. East Indian gods mixed with animals. So even if you see that, that's like a common thing, because when he was looking into the spiritual realm, they were seeing demons. And since demons, they have this little mixture of different animals all together with wings and different of them that look like birds and bats. They were looking at them, getting confused. And then they started to worship them instead of the Most High. And it's going to go into that. Keep going.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God.
Yes, because when he was listening to Noah, Noah was teaching them, serve the one and true living God. Don't serve all these demons around him here. Because when they was seeing all that in the spiritual realm and they seeing all these demons, Noah was like, hey, do not serve them. Stay away from them. But as you know, these nations were foolish. Keep going.
Neither were they thankful. They weren't even thinking like the Most High that much. They were just walking around like a regular people at that time, and still able to have contact with the spirit world. Keep going. But became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened.
So this is when they started to worship those unclean spirits, the ones that have heads of birds, heads of beasts, of dogs and things, and they're in the spiritual realm. And they started drawing images of them in the physical realm so they can remember them. That's why they were always drawing images all around so they can contact them. That's why the Most High did not want any graven image, meaning any image that's engraved or chiseled. He didn't want that. Those things, because those things attract unclean spirits. Why do you think that in the Catholic Church, especially in the Vatican, they're always having exorcism and demonic possessions? Because they are known to have a lot of carved statues of saints, thinking that it's all right. But the Most High is not going to give his glory to graven images. Read 121 again.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God. Neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened.
And their foolish heart was darkened. So that's what happened. So after their foolish heart was darkened and they started to stray away from the Most High, that's when Nimrod came on the scene, and they all got together, built the tower, followed Nimrod, and then the Most High had it with them, had it with all the nations, and just start spreading them all abroad. But now we're living in a time where they want to rebuild a whole different type of tower, an invisible tower, and do the whole same thing and break into the spirit world again with science and the occult. And that's where you get certain things like the Thule Society. The Thule Society, because they tried it in the past during the Renaissance, where they was just doing their little experiments with it, with Marsilio Ficino, and you had Newton and a couple others. But now it gets serious when you start bringing the military in it, because once they start bringing the military, that under the Nazi regime with the Thule Society and trying to harvest that power and go into the spirit world, then that's where it gets hectic. Once that starts, it starts to get hectic now, because they're serious about breaking into that spiritual realm. So now we approach the end of our video for right now. So we started off in a video before this about there was something going on with the snow and the ice in January. A lot of things was going on that started off in January 2026. So we had to do some investigations, some spiritual investigations, because our spiritual eye must remain open. And we realized this snow wasn't your regular snow, and we even had other witnesses. So we had to do some investigation and found out that there's something called the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory. So we was going to start a journey to Antarctica to see that. But in order for us to start our journey, we had to go back and see what these scientists were doing, because these scientists seem to be mixing wizardry and science together. So we had to go back to see, when did this society start? And it had to start with the rebirth. So we started there. We came to a Catholic priest who was into the occult and the Renaissance. Then we bumped into a guy named Issac Newton. Issac Newton, who was a known mathematician and scientist also, but he was an alchemist. So then it was time for us to go through a Zoom meeting so we can put things together. Then we could see about this stuff called magic and wizardry and witchcraft. So we understood what a necromancer was, what an observer of time was. We seen exactly what a familiar spirit, what's a person with a familiar spirit, and we actually was able to see or understand about a foolish king named King Saul, what his consequences was when seeking after that person with a familiar spirit. So now we're concluding this video with this scripture. This is Isaiah 32:5. It says, "The vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful." So, and the word churl means naive, rude, and miserable, a miserable person. So let's understand this, the vile person. These scientists, how they mix in witchcraft and wizardry, how they bring in witchcraft, wizardry, and science together. That's a vile thing. And it says they can't be called liberal, meaning go around freely doing their little secret things without people noticing it. And it's the churl, all these miserable people, these naive people, cannot be bountiful, constantly make money off of their wickedness that they're doing. It says we have to reveal it. We have to unveil, have to question these things. We have to walk like we have a purpose, walk like we have an understanding. So as we walked away from Newton, and then we went to our class meeting, now it's time to see a whole group of people that shaped the early 20th century. So we're going to go back to the early 1900s with these group of people right here. Yeah. What's so odd about these group of people? They're connected to a certain society called the Thule Society. And they have a whole lot of scientists that's connecting to the society. And they are going to shape this world like we have not seen it. Because where do these scientists, these occult scientists that's from them, where do they go? Well, continue watching the next video. The next video that will be put up, we're going to go deep into what's going on in that Nazi Germany and what's up with these scientists. What are they discovering? We're going to show you biblical scriptures that condemns this. And then we're probably going to make that footstep to Antarctica and see what's happening at the Neutrino Ice Cube Observatory. So keep in touch and stay blessed. And we want to say bless to all y'all in the name who are watching with understanding and with love and with commitment and with grace and with honor. If you're watching and you have those things, we want to say blessed, be blessed, have peace in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, who in the ancient Hebrew we call him Yahawashy Hamashayach, who people also call Yeshua the Almighty, who certain people call Yehoshua the Almighty, because that's the person we worship. That's the one who's given us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to seek after this. So join us in our next video. Make sure you subscribe so you can know when the next video is up, and then we'll unlock the secrets to see what these people are hiding. Shalom, which means peace.